Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and we are now into the offseason, and we had a pretty good offensive season looking at the stats here, but I mean, it didn't translate to the record. Just looking at our year in review here, we actually led the conference by yards by at least 300, and I kind of simmed past it, but it turns out that Louisiana did win the conference championship. They ended up beating who did they beat? They beat Troy. That's who they beat. They beat Troy. So Troy finishes the season 8-5. Louisiana finishes 10-4. Navy finishes 9-4. Let's see other teams. Arkansas State actually finished 10-3. They actually finished ranked. So it's funny that they didn't make the conference championship. It just lucked out that way. But hey, I mean, our conference actually had a pretty good year. Appalachian State ended up being 10-3 on the year. Troy, like I said, 8-5, and we didn't really have any bad teams except Texas State. They finished 1-11. So let's just look at the stats for our team and see areas where we can improve and see what we're going to miss going forward. So looking at our quarterbacks here, it looks like Emilio Garcia actually had the best year. He had 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions to Marcus Milam, who actually threw for more yards, but threw 8 touchdowns and 10 picks. So I'm looking forward to Kashawn Curtin. And coming into next season, he only has a touchdown and an interception to his resume. It's going to be pretty good to see how much he improves. He's only 56 overall. We'll see how he improves through the offseason. So looking at rushing here, we didn't have many guys here running the ball. And Cameron Yates ended up running for 623 yards as a senior, 9 touchdowns. It's actually not too bad, but nobody else behind him really had over 100 yards at least. Kuzo had 93 on the year. Milam had 75, but behind that, I mean, it wasn't really anything. What are we going to get from Key Sarkis Jr. come next year? Is he going to contribute in a big way come next year? 86 speed. He only's got 67 carrying, but he might be a guy that can move a little bit. We'll see if he's I don't know if he'll be the every down back, but he at least has a chance to compete for a lot of playing time. So we'll see how he does. So moving on to receiving, Amari Manuel is going to return for his senior season, 57 overall. Let's see how he improves. He led our team in yards and receptions. So that's a big season for him in the first year. So I'm looking for him to build off of that in his senior season. Mason Wynn actually had a pretty good season as well. 47 receptions, 588 yards. He actually did pretty good. Sam Forbes missing 5 games. He actually had 584 yards, not far off from Manuel. So it shows here. I mean, he had a huge impact when he was in the game. Only 39 receptions, but he missed those 5 games. So he was still up there. Paco Ashton is 4th. In his senior season, he had almost 50 receptions. 48 to be exact, and he was a slot receiver too. So Sean DeQuan actually from the tight end position was actually pretty good, I can't lie. And he had 35 receptions, 343 yards for a guy that we thought was only going to be a run blocker. He actually had a pretty good year. And then look at Cameron Yates. Cameron Yates had 42 receptions from the running back position. So it's pretty good to see a running back that can receive like that. Hopefully, Keith Sarkis Jr. can step up as well. And then looking at the young guys going forward, Max Moriarty is going to compete for the starting tight end position. 10 receptions, 112 yards last season. We'll see how he improves. And then also Cameron Dixon. And he's going to be a sophomore going into next year. So he's going to have 3 years of eligibility. So let's look at blocking here. We'll go over this really quick. It looks like Maxwell Gala, our right tackle, gave up the most sacks, 7 sacks on the year. And this stat just isn't right. It says 0 pancakes. I don't know why they're not crediting our team with pancakes, but I know we had plenty of pancakes. There's no way that we had 0 on the whole year. So looking at defense here, we can see that Darius Terry led the way. He's going to return for his senior season. Cedric Granger had a big year as well. He had 54 solo tackles, 13 tackles for losses, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions. So he actually had a pretty good year from the safety position, and he's got 3 more years of eligibility. He's probably going to make the biggest leap out of anybody as far as improving on the defense. Ryan Marshall's the sophomore, the true sophomore. He had 2 sacks on the year, 56 solo tackles. He was all over the field, and 10 tackles for losses, so that's pretty good. Mikael Brock-Thompson is going to be missed. He was a scrapper. I mean, I just got to admit, he was a scrapper. He was all over the field. He's going to be missed. He's going to be hard to replace, but he had a lot of tackles. Orlando Norman had a lot of tackles as well on the outside. He actually had only 1 interception on the year, but, he wasn't giving up too many yards. He had 4 deflections, which I think led our team, so pretty good to see him doing his work on the outside. So Preston Mays is going to be graduating. He finishes the year with 4 interceptions leading the team, and he had 29 total tackles. So Anthony Lorenz is going to still play in the slot come next year. I like what he does in the slot. I'm not going to move him to the outside. I think I'm going to keep him in the slot. So he's going to be another nice asset going forward. Looking at Danelle Hudson, he's a senior graduating. He had 4 sacks in the year. If I keep going down the line, Landon Watkins, 26 solo tackles. Looking at our defensive line here, now we're creeping up on them. Adam Pritchard's going to be graduating. Danny Armstead is going to have to step up next year. He's got some competition coming into camp next year. I want to see what he can do with some competition behind him. Frederick Billups actually had probably silently one of the better years out of anybody because he had 7 sacks. And from the defensive tackle position, that's huge. Jalen Joe had 3 sacks. Keep going down the line. Kevin Mejia, he graduates as a senior. I was hoping to get him more playing time, but it turned out that Mikael Brock-Thompson and Ryan Marshall were just doing their thing. Alvin Jefferson is going to come back for his senior season as well. I didn't realize that he was a junior, but he is a junior, 4 sacks on the season. We'll see if he actually keeps his role because you never know. We could, switch it up a little bit. He only had 6 solo tackles, and for somebody that's on the field quite a bit as him, you would think that, with Frederick Billups taking up a lot of room, that would clear the way for him, so we'll see. So keep going down the line. You can see all of our guys here. These are pretty much all offensive guys now getting tackles on special teams and after interceptions. So looking at kick return, actually, Zach Zarzula actually won returner of the year. He didn't return any touchdowns, but he had a lot of yards, and I think that's why he got it. So let's officially move into this offseason. Let's see what happens next. So looking at our coaching changes in our conference, it looks like Texas State fired their head coach after that 1-11 season. Middle Tennessee State actually also fired their head coach, and they hired a new head coach with A- prestige. And looking at our team, we actually re-upped Steve Smith Sr., so it looks like he's going to be here at least for another couple of years. We'll see how it goes down the line. But he had a pretty good year as offensive coordinator, especially with the talent level that we had. And another one, it actually looks like Arkansas State lost their head coach, left for a bigger job. Let's see who he left for. So he actually went to Kentucky. So he replaces Stoops at Kentucky, and he's moving to the SEC. Good luck there. So none of our players did transfer. A lot of graduates. I think we had 26 total. I think we have 19 commits, so we're pretty much replacing everybody. So nobody's going to be drafted, so let's move on. So right away, we have some amazing news. Look at this. We have 5, count them, 5 transfers. I've never seen this many transfers come to one school, and this is going to be a huge help in the future. Starting with Tyrant'summers, you see he's coming from Cincinnati. He's a redshirt freshman, but look at that speed. 90 speed, 96 acceleration. He is going to be a burner. And look at him. I mean, this guy might be a running back. I mean, he has elusiveness, but he can't catch. Look at his catching. 56 catching. He can't run routes. 56 route running. This guy actually might end up being a running back. I don't know. But he has good carrying, good elusiveness. I kind of like him at running back, but remember, he does have to sit out a year before playing. So he's our first guy. Our second transfer here is a true freshman, Garrison Burnett, and he's coming from UConn, and look at him. He has pretty good speed as well. 93 acceleration, 93 agility, 87 speed, but look at his catching. Another low catcher. So he's going to need another year of training to get him right. So we'll see. Chris Thornton from North Texas. I actually remember playing it up against this guy in our last Dynasty, 70 speed, and he's a true freshman as well. So we're going to be in pretty good shape with these transfers. But one guy I'm excited about, look at this. Kenneth Ruff, a sophomore. You can see he's got 81 strength. He's going to be a beast coming in. Once he gets a year under his belt, he's going to come in as a junior, and he's going to be doing his thing. And then the last guy, a cornerback, a much-needed cornerback in Malik Great. He's a big guy, 6 foot, 170. He probably has to put on some weight, but he's got the height to play corner, and he's just a solid corner. So we thought our recruiting class was kind of thin at corner. I'm glad to see him come in, and we thought our recruiting class for receivers is kind of thin, but both of these guys do have to sit out, so I don't want to get too excited, but all these guys are coming in, so I'm excited for this. So looking at our recruiting needs here, it looks like we need a center. We did get a lot of commits here from a lot of our just all-around positions. We got a few corners, a couple of outside linebackers, and it looks like, you know, we're missing a couple positions, but we only have one scholarship remaining. This is the most commits I've ever seen from a school here that I've played with in one season, and we only got one scholarship left. So here's the thing. Who are we going to have on scholarship for this last one? Jack Collec is a transfer tight end. We are going to be looking probably to get him. So he goes up to 64 overall. We don't really need a receiver, so I might pass on him. I'm going to put points on pretty much everybody, but Dustin Myrick, this guy's a JUCO defensive end, and I think I need him to compete, and I think I'm going to put a lot of points on both him and Jack Collec because we don't know what the rest of our team is going to look like as far as progressing. But looking at Nick Flowers, you know, there's just something about his coverage. He has good coverage skills, 71 man, 71 zone, and he's going to be up there too. So I think the three guys that I'm going to put points on, Jack Collec, Dustin Myrick, and Nick Flowers. You can see Nick Flowers, we're in first with him. Dustin Myrick, we're in first with him. And then Jack Collec, we're barely holding on to first. So let's divvy up these points and see what happens. So I figured we want Jack Collec the most because we do need a reliable tight end. He has beat catching tight end. I didn't get to unlock all of his ratings, but having beat catching, hopefully that does stay at a B. And then Dustin Myrick, I decided to put 2,500 on, and then Nick Flowers 850. We are in first place for all three of these guys, so let's see how it shapes up. So it actually turned out that Jack Collec did commit to us, but look at the rest of these guys. Dustin Myrick didn't do anything. It looks like we dropped down to 8th, and then Nick Flowers, we dropped down to 8th too. I don't know if they committed or they're going to walk on at these schools, but they just didn't do anything. I don't know. I wonder if we're going to have any walk-ons come onto our school. We'll have to see. So let's look at our roster. So before looking at our roster, here's how it's shaped up with our recruiting class. We actually ended up at 115. And remember, we said we were going to go after all 1-stars. We kind of made the custom recruits a little better than what they're supposed to. At least we weren't last here. But we ended up being 115, 20 total commits. And that was all the scholarships we had. So let's check out the team now. So going position by position, we didn't have many position changes to make, but we are thin. We are thin at the crucial positions. Quarterback, we only have 3 quarterbacks. Halfback, we only have 3 halfbacks on the roster. And then looking at fullback, we have a fullback. But then looking at receiver, we only have 6. We only have 6, and 2 of them are transfers. So we really only have 4 receivers going into this season, with Justin Johnson being the highest rated before training. But you know, one thing I did want to do, I wanted to change Tyrant'summers, the transfer from Texas Tech. I wanted to move him to running back. So actually, it's not from Texas Tech, it's from Cincinnati. I wanted to move him to running back because look, his overall does go up 1, and he doesn't have many receiving skills. I mean, if you check this out, his ball carrier vision at 76, spin move, all his juke move stuff is at mid 80s, and then his carrying at 75, but then his catching is just horrible. So I think he's going to be more suited as a running back, so I want to put him at running back. So now we officially only have 5. Looking at the other positions here, I just don't know exactly how it's going to look for us going forward at all these positions, because I mean, right now we're kind of thin with our roster, and we have some guards here. We have freshman guards. We're going to have a lot of red shirts. Believe that. We're going to have a lot of red shirts come this year. We don't want to use any big eligibility for a lot of these guys. And for guys like maybe Kier Patterson, we might even redshirt him depending on how good Jalen Joe and Peter Gonzalez progress. And then there's other guys like some of these guys like Thornton here. He's a transfer, so he can't play. Saxon, he might even get redshirted because we got Bolin and Eckstein behind him. I mean, a lot of these guys, let's just see how they progress. So now looking at overall trending results, remember the transfers do get to train along with the other players. So this is quite the sighting here. We have our first 70 overall guys, and they're all three are the transfers. All three are the transfers. So this is gonna be a big year come 2 years from now, because they're gonna have another year under their belt, and on top of that they're gonna be ready to play, because look at Tyrant'summers, he goes up 6 overall. So let's go position by position. Let's see who progressed the most. Wesley David actually progressed the most as a quarterback, so there's gonna be a quarterback competition in camp, and it looks like Wesley David has the stronger arm and he is less accurate, but you know, I think he has higher awareness. Let's just see. Yeah, so 63 awareness to 60. So awareness does matter. Remember, he has higher strength and he's actually more mobile. So there's a chance that Kashawn Curtin can get beat out by Wesley David. Remember, Kashawn Curtin was a fan favorite, but you never know. Wesley David might be that guy. So looking at running back, it looks like Javier Garcia slated as the best running back right now, but look who's on his heels. The red shirt freshman Jimbo Brown. He is ready for prime time. He did get a red shirt year last year, but look at that trucking, 79 trucking. He's ready as the highest trucking out of any running back. He's going to be the power back, and he can't really juke. You see, he's not a juke move. He's not an elusive type running back, but he's going to be a power guy going forward. So that's going to be good to see him there. So let's look at Brett Mason, the fullback. He's coming in for his sophomore year, going up to 80 speed, so we're going to use him quite a bit as well. But looking at receiver, I mean, we only have 4 receivers here that progressed, and we get to see the debut of Angel Gonzalez, freshman, redshirt freshman, 5'10", 162. He's got to put on some weight a little bit. He's probably going to add some weight coming into next season, but Manuel goes up only +3. I'm surprised only +3. But Garrison Burnett, the transfer, he goes up by +4. So he's going to be ready for next season. Not this coming season, but the following season. So Max Moriarty actually progresses pretty nicely. He goes up by a few overall, goes up to 70 awareness. So I don't know who's going to win this battle, but it looks like Max Moriarty is the better receiver right now. So it's going to be good to see him. Looking at our linemen, going up to 65. We're not going to go through individual ratings, but I do want to kind of highlight some ratings for these guards here, just because I want the best guy who can run block the best, and looking at all these guys are pretty much dead even. So I don't know who's going to win these battles in camp, but it's going to be a close one. So looking at left end, an important position here with Danny Armstead. He goes up +4 overall. Let's see, he went up to +2 acceleration. He's at 85 acceleration. Let's see his pass rushing moves here. So he goes up to +2, 62 power moves, +4, 78 finesse moves, and 76 block shed. So hopefully that helps him out. And then looking at right end, this is where it's going to be a big competition. Peter Gonzalez and Jalen Joe. I don't know who's going to win this one, but it's going to be pretty close. The transfer, Kenneth Ruff, he's going to be a beast when he plays. I can't wait to see him play. But both Frederick Billups and Jefferson both go up by 4 and 5 respectively. So it's good to see them progressing. So looking at the other guys here, Chris Thornton, he goes up the transfer by 5. Bolin, he's at 60 overall. I don't know who's going to start there. Middle linebacker, these are probably going to be our starters this year. Jamal Williams and Ryan Marshall. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Right outside linebacker, I don't really know as well. They progress a little bit. And then at corner, Anthony Lorenz and Norman do both progress quite a bit, as Xavier Davis, the redshirt freshman, he goes up as well. So he's going to be slated to get a lot of playing time as well. Looking at his ratings, he's a pretty good all-around guy. He's got 71 man, a little lower than the rest of them, but 75 zone, 74 zone. And we're going to see what he can do because he's going to touch the field as well this year. And look at Norman. He's up to 83 man, 78 zone. He's going to be locking down the right side of the field along with Anthony Lorenz in the slot. So looking at free safety, Darius Terry goes up +3 overall. And then Cedric Granger goes up to 69 overall, almost at 70. I'm sure he'll hit 70 with a couple player of the games. He'll get that awareness up a little bit. And then at kicker and punter, Dominguez goes up to 64 overall. So here we are at the schedule for this season. We are going to open up with our only rivalry game of the season versus Southern Mississippi. And you can see Southern Miss, they are going to be an okay team. We are rivals with them, so this is going to be huge for recruiting. They are actually our only rival, Southern Miss. So we open up the season then. Then we do the battle of South Carolina as we go up against the Gamecocks. But this year, we're at home, so we have home field advantage for this. If we pull this off, it would be an upset. Of epic proportion. If we get this win, remember they were ranked last year when we played them. This is going to be a big game. So then we hop into conference play. Louisiana Monroe, Louisiana, and Navy back to back to back. Those are going to be 3 tough conference games to start out. But then we get a bye. We get a little break. But then hop right back into it. Arkansas State, that's going to be a tough one on the road. Georgia State is a little bit of a calmer game. We do get not a breather, but at least we go back home. But then we go on the road and play Appalachian State. We remember what they did to us last year. And then Troy at home. But then we have Texas State, who I'm not expected to have a big improvement come next season. But then we go on the road. Actually, we don't go on the road. We stay at home versus Fresno State. So we get 3 non-conference games. We're going to have 6 games at home, 6 on the road. That's how it's going to be this season. And then we finish off the season at East Carolina. So it's going to be kind of an okay schedule. It is going to be tough. I can't lie. It's going to be tough. Texas State is probably the easiest game we have on the schedule. Besides that, Southern Miss is going to be tough because it's a conference game. So, what do you guys think of this schedule? I like it. We'll see how many wins we're going to get. What do you guys think? How many wins do you guys think we're going to get with this schedule? Let me know down below. So now heading into this season, we got a bunch of red shirts. Let's look at quarterback. We're not actually going to redshirt Max Johnson here because we do need to carry 3 quarterbacks. Nobody gets redshirted here. Tyrant'summers does not get the red shirt as he transfers. Looking at receiver, though, we might want to redshirt a guy here, but we can't afford it. We got 5 receivers, actually 5 active receivers. Remember, Burnett has to sit out, so we have 5 active receivers. We have to keep all of these guys, so nobody gets redshirted there. I think Byron Dunlap is going to get redshirted. He's a young freshman tight end. He's going to be looking for the future. Jack Collec is here as well as a JUCO transfer. He's going to be a sophomore this season. Looking at left tackle, I'm going to probably redshirt Alex Snyder strictly because Corey Lisi is a senior, so he's probably not going to touch the field. And here, this is a walk-on here, Chris Muhammad. I'm just going to leave him there. But then at right guard is interesting because, we got 3 freshman guards here. I'm actually going to redshirt all of them. And the reason why is because we got some seniors graduating coming up. And Nick Bowling at right tackle, he's going to get redshirted as well because he's probably not going to play at all. So looking at left end, we do have a freshman here, Mike Jackson, 6'7", 305. He's actually kind of beasty, but he does need to work on a lot of things. You see his awareness is at 40. He's got a lot to work on. So looking at end here, look at this. Keir Patterson is actually the best rated defensive end. But here's the thing. I don't want to rush this guy into it when I have Jalen Joe. I know he's a senior. He can play. And then I have Peter Gonzalez as well. He's going to be vying for playing time too. So if I get another year under Keir Patterson, you never know how it's going to look at end. I'm going to redshirt him even though he's our best rated end. So looking at Kenneth Ruff, the transfer, he's going to get redshirted as a transfer. And then I'm just going to redshirt this guy, Jermaine Baker. He's probably not going to get in anyway. Looking at left outside linebacker, Oliver Saxon is actually kind of buried right now. He is behind Thornton, who's a transfer who's going to sit out, but then he's behind Bolin as well. So I'm actually going to redshirt Saxon. And actually, let's check out his ratings compared to the guys ahead of him. Let's see if he has some pass rushing moves, and he does a little bit. Finesse moves at 72. Pursuit, not so great. I'm gonna redshirt him. I don't think he's ready. I think he needs another year of development. Then he'll probably get onto the field. At middle linebacker, nobody's gonna be touched there. At right outside, I don't know. This is a tough one because I have Hartman here. Ian Hartman, he's a senior. He's gonna be slated into likely start. But Andrew Chapman as a freshman here is actually more athletic. You see he has lower acceleration, but he's faster. He's more agile. Let's see if he can tackle better. So they both have the same amount of tackling. Hartman does have higher hit power, and Chapman is kind of even with Hartman. So that kind of makes me lean towards redshirting him. Because I don't want to use a year of his eligibility, I'm going to redshirt him. Because I know I do have another outside linebacker behind him and Eric Hughes, and he's already been redshirted. So I'm going to use that. So corner is interesting. Norman is a sophomore. He's going to not get redshirted. He's going to be on the outside. Great is in line to start come next year, but not this year. He's got to sit out a year. Lorenz is going to be in the slot. Xavier Davis is going to be there as well. But then here's where it gets interesting. I need to at least keep one of these three guys active. And I'm looking at the ratings here. Alex Meredith, he's 5'11". He's a bigger guy. I think they're both, all three are the same pretty much athletically. So let's just look at the ratings here. Who's better in coverage? So looking at coverage, looks like Brandon Jones is the lowest in man, but he has 70 zone. He also has 62 press and 70 pursuit, which means he's kind of more of an all-around cornerback, and the other two probably have to develop a little more. So I think I'm going to be leaning towards not redshirting Brandon Jones because, look, he can tackle, 75 tackling. I might need that, especially he might get in special teams, so I might need that. So Alex Meredith and Connor Eatings are both going to get redshirted, and Brandon Jones is probably going to start the year at the 4th or 3rd spot in the depth chart. I'm not sure. Competing with Xavier Davis is going to be tough, but one thing he can hang his hat on is that he can tackle. If you can tackle from the slot position, you're valuable. And Anthony Lorenz is going to be playing in the slot, but Davis and Brandon Jones, I think they're actually, what am I saying? They're going to be competing for the outside job. So I don't know who's going to start there, but it's going to be interesting to see who's going to beat each other out, Xavier Davis or Brandon Jones, because that's a battle to watch in practice. I think he's one of the few freshmen that actually have a chance to start this year. So looking at free safety, I am going to keep Zorzula and King. King is going to be, he's not going to get redshirted because, remember, I do want to use his return skills. I think he's a better returner than Zorzula, and Zorzula actually did win Returner of the Year, but he didn't ever return any touchdowns. I mean, that's kind of alarming. At least return one. So I do want to give King a shot, and then Derek Armstrong is going to get redshirted. I do want to carry another additional cornerback, and Zorzula isn't really good on defense. I put him in, and he just seems lost, so I don't want to depend on him. I want to keep another guy available, and then Robert Johnson at strong safety is going to get redshirted strictly because I have Rivera backing up, and I want to save a year of eligibility for Johnson. So this is what it's going to look like. This is the roster. This is what our team is going to look like going into this second season in this franchise, into this dynasty. So hit subscribe, hit that like button, because this season is going to be huge. Next episode, I'm probably going to have the opener, and then the episode after that, I'm going to have a full special on just the custom recruits. So it's going to be dedicated to just that, and it's going to be a special one. So you don't want to miss. I'm doing something a little different, actually something way different. It's going to be pretty cool. So I can't wait for you guys to see that. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's get this season 2 underway. Let's go.